Hey everybody, it's Xeno here. The date is February 7th, 2023, and if you haven't heard yet, there's going to be a Nintendo Direct tomorrow. And, I'm not ready for it. For the past 6 months or so, I've been working behind the scenes on this really big theory for Tears of the Kingdom based off the last trailer that came out back in September. Work on it has been slow. I've been pretty preoccupied, unfortunately, and I just haven't had time to really sit down and get the edit to where I want it to be for the right production quality, but Nintendo is forcing my hand here, so I'm releasing it today as I have it with a rough cut, just kinda very vaguely showing images that I think do the story justice to like the smallest extent, but I think it's also just a really great theory, and I want it out there before they show anything tomorrow, because it's a 95% chance. Like, I'm actually excited and sure, we're gonna see something for once. So I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna let you guys enjoy this theory. Make sure you join me tomorrow around 4:30 here on the YouTube channel. We're gonna stream the Direct, probably have some pretty cool reactions, and just have a great time. So I will see you guys then, and I hope you like it. The new Breath of the Wild, or the sequel to it, it's not necessarily going to be related to Majora's Mask or inspired by it. What we showed you currently is a little darker. This was one of the first pieces of information shared about the game that would come to be known as The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom all the way back in 2019. As time passed and the second trailer in 2021 came and went, I feel this quote somewhat fell into obscurity. The sky, after all, is literally full of light, contrasting the decrepit cave and mysterious ritual we saw in that first trailer. It's a bold statement, no doubt, to say the upcoming Zelda could match or even surpass the tone of a game that so candidly captured death and grief, but with the recent trailer and the announcement of the game's subtitle, Tears of the Kingdom, I think things are beginning to look a little clearer. An ancient ritual involving the mummified source of the calamity, a hidden land above the skies, a mysterious new figure at the center of it all, and a kingdom left in tears. Let's unravel what it all means. I'm beginning to see a pattern regarding The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and that pattern is death. In the first trailer, our focus was guided to the striking image of a corpse no doubt belonging to the humanoid form of Hyrule's greatest adversary, Ganondorf. The second trailer introduced us to the heavenly views of the skies above Hyrule, and the hellish eruption of Hyrule Castle raised by great fissures of malice on the surface. And finally, the most recent trailer reveals this character and the wall mural that, like the tapestry in Breath of the Wild before it, is the connecting thread for all of this game's greatest mysteries. Well, buckle up, because here we go. Zelda games have long teased central elements of the games they belong to in subtitles, but also in the visual design of their logos as well. Majora's Mask has the titular mask, Wind Waker has the King of Red Lion's boat, and Twilight Princess has the fused Shadow and Wolf Link. This is why it's so important to look at Tears of the Kingdom's new logo, because it has a design to share with us as well. A design that not only prominently shows up in this new trailer, but a design in a familiar style. A design that depicts an Ouroboros. Ouroboros is a symbol of eternity, depicting a serpent devouring its own tail. It represents a never-ending cycle, an event that is destined to repeat again and again. The earliest known depictions of it can be traced back to ancient Egypt, where it was first seen on a scroll in the tomb of King Tutankhamun. The funerary text told of the unison between the Egyptian creation deity Ra, the sun god, and Osiris, the Egyptian deity of death and rebirth. The symbol has since then gone on to appear in Norse and Hindu mythology and become a prominent alchemical symbol. Zelda's new Ouroboros might look a little off to those familiar with the symbol, though. See, instead of one serpent biting its own tail, Tears of the Kingdom's logo shows us two. Each serpent not biting the other's tail, but instead smoothly rotating around each other. This symbol isn't only visible in the game's logo either. It appears on the doors that Link opens at the start of the new trailer's gameplay footage. Interestingly, the serpents depicted here are different again, with them facing upwards towards one another, flipping the meaning of the Ouroboros symbol on its head once more, with not a circular pose portraying continuous motion in one direction, but the two serpents meeting at one critical point. Nonetheless, the symbol's presence here directly links it with the Sky Islands and establishes that these two serpents from the logo are not a one-off aesthetic piece. That leads us to the final elephant in the room, the style of this Ouroboros depiction, which has us all crying one word over and over yet again: Zonai. Yes, this logo is done in the same art style as the work of Breath of the Wild's Mystery Tribe, the tribe that already had its presence felt in the underground ruins of the original teaser, and allegedly in the Sky Islands of the second. The question still remains as to what this tribe's role is in the new story and how much importance it extends, but rest assured, at the very least, yes, this is their style, and yes, these ruins are very important. Breath of the Wild's first story trailer debuted at the Game Awards in 2016, and it followed a very similar structure as to Tears of the Kingdom's title reveal trailer. The Sheikah tapestry was unveiled in glimpses, giving us a feel for just how important the Sheikah would be to the story outside of the previously revealed Sheikah slate. Yet another mysterious artwork is teased in this trailer for Tears of the Kingdom, a mural done in the same Zonai style as the images on the cave wall in the first trailer, and the Ouroboros present in the game's logo. The new mural manages to give us an even better glimpse at key events than Breath of the Wild's Game Awards trailer does, though. Invading monsters cloaked in malice attacking an army, Ganon's corpse suspended above that malice, a new language matching the table Link's fused hand lay on in the 2021 trailer, what is presumably Zelda joining hands with an obscured figure, and finally, this mysterious new character, presented on a throne, surrounded by 7 tears. What does it all mean? Let's take it piece by piece. Monsters invading in an onslaught of malice is interestingly something we've never seen depicted like this before. Breath of the Wild's tapestry showed us an invasion of Hyrule, sure, but that was a fully mechanical uprising, a scene littered with the Sheikah's autonomous army, the Guardians. I think now is also a good time to point out that Breath of the Wild's tapestry, while overall a good representation of the events that spurred on Breath of the Wild 100 years ago, is not the story the tapestry is telling. The Breath of the Wild tapestry was made in reference to the first Great Calamity in the distant past of 10,000 years ago. It is an event we still know shockingly little about and has been teased several times in how it could be further explored in Tears of the Kingdom. The origin of Ganondorf, Link on the tapestry, voice actor leaks, and time shenanigans. All this to say that the relationship between these two storytelling devices is unclear. Could they be the same story told from different cultural angles, or is this new mural trying to tell us something completely different? For the sake of our purposes, the latter will be the route we'll be exploring today. After all, The Legend of Zelda was never a series to dwell on the same plot points between games for very long. So, back to the war being waged on this mural. A few things stand out here. First is the soldiers the monsters are picking off. On their shields, we can see a crest that looks like a simplified Hylian crest. However, the heads on these figures are designed so they appear bird-like, meaning they could be the Rito tribe fighting alongside Hylians in a unified war against Calamity, or these figures are wearing helmets, and we just don't recognize them yet. The next thing worth noting is the bokoblins in this scene. It's impossible to say for sure, but it seems the artist is depicting these bokoblins with an extended horn on their head, the very same horn we have seen in Tears of the Kingdom gameplay from the last trailer. I speculated in the past that this design difference could be chalked up to Ganon's army getting stronger, or even a hint at time travel with Bokoblin's appearances changing over time, but then Moblins come in and make everything confusing. In gameplay footage we have seen thus far, they seem to have lost their Breath of the Wild horns in place of a round spiky helmet. This helmet is absent from the mural and doesn't clearly fit into the narrative for either of my previous speculations, making it something we'll just have to wait and see on. Finally, one more point of interest lurks in this portion of the mural, and that's what we can't see. At the top of this image from the trailer, some gigantic hoof-like feet tease a beast just off-screen. Some of you might jump straight to the most interesting conclusion and ask, is this Ganondorf in a Dark Beast or Ocarina of Time type form commanding his army? While anything is possible, at this point I'm inclined to say this portion of the mural will not include Ganon himself, but just his ranks of monsters attacking, leaving my best guess as to this creature being a Hinox or a new addition to Breath of the Wild's monster pool. Next brings us to a set of scenes that, from what I understand, has become a point of contention within the Zelda community. Ganondorf or Zelda? This is an extremely important question as well, so let's discuss this figure and its connections to the unknown character on a throne, because this, I believe, is the cornerstone of Tears of the Kingdom's plot. So who is floating/falling into malice and locking hands with an important unknown character here? The answer is, well, both. I believe these portions of the mural depict different characters, and here's why. First, we need to look at their appearances, because while each figure shares very similar features, there are some key differences. For example, look at the standing figure here and tell me it does not bear a strong overall resemblance to Zelda wearing her ceremonial dress as seen in Breath of the Wild. Now, look here and tell me this doesn't look like the same pose we saw a petrified Ganondorf within in the first trailer. But if you're still not satisfied, let's look closer at the details. It's no secret that Ganondorf, as he has appeared in Tears of the Kingdom thus far, carries some striking similarities to his Twilight Princess appearance. Key features that yet again translate into this floating figure. First and most importantly, the exposed heart. Central to his character design and the story in Twilight Princess, a cracked fissure in his chest is left from the sage's attempted execution. And now this figure is seen prominently bearing their heart on the mural. Next, look at Ganondorf's collar, torso, and crown design, which I believe confirms his resemblance to the Twilight Princess counterpart. Finally, compare this floating figure to what we have seen of Ganondorf's corpse in Tears of the Kingdom's trailers. Long, flowing hair, adorned with jewels, very similar ceremonial robe from the waist down. Frankly, from the moment I saw this portion of the mural, I instantly identified this figure as Ganondorf. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not to say I haven't come to understand how some might interpret both these images to be Zelda. However, I maintain overall, from hair to clothing, while they are quite similar, that could just be because they are depicted in the same simplified art style and wearing the same ceremonial clothing, marking them both as figures of importance. One of the main counterpoints I've seen to the idea that this floating figure has to be Ganondorf based on its pose is that Zelda 2 can be seen in a similar position when falling during a scene in the second trailer, but I see two problems with that. Number one, look at the eyes on the floating figure. They are closed, devoid of life, unlike Zelda's very responsive eyes here. And number two, as a present event, that would make this a prophetic mural, and I just don't see that happening. The second big point against Ganon in this mural is the depiction of ears. Tears of the Kingdom has already revealed to us that Ganondorf in this game will sport rounded ears, likely to show the extent of his age, since all current-day humanoids in Hyrule now have pointed ears. In the standing profile image on the mural, it can clearly be seen that the figure possesses pointed ears. However, I'm not convinced of this for the floating figure. I've seen this section of the head pointed out as potentially being the ears of this figure, and while I will concede, I believe this is the biggest hole of my entire Ganon is this and Zelda is that theory. That could very much be ears. I kind of see it, but in my humble opinion, with all the other evidence we've already looked at leading us in other directions, I'm more inclined to say that it could also just be a shard of hair, because it's right there with all the hair. Could just be that, guys. Also, really quick off-script tangent, but this piece separating the head and hair has been bothering me. What is it? I thought maybe it could be more hair strands, but after looking at it a few more times, I think it could be a veil, which might tie into Gerudo fashion and the whole ceremonial look Ganon's got going on. Anyway, I want you to look at these figures' relationships with the unknown entity. At the end of the trailer, we can see that the profile figure has a significant connection to this entity as they join hands on the title reveal screen. We'll circle back to the significance of that in just a moment, but also notice there is a different thread connecting the floating figure to the entity, its heart. Based on the prominence of this entity throughout the trailer, their mural depiction's resemblance, and the fact that just no one fits the glove better, it's safe to say this entity is the source of the spectral hand imprisoning Ganondorf. A hand grasped around his heart, chaining it down, claiming it for its own. And wouldn't you know it, in the mural, the exact shape of the floating figure's heart appears again only once, at the center of this new entity's throne. You might ask, who's to say this doesn't signify a mutual respect between these two figures, or that this figure is actually aligned with Ganondorf, or maybe even involved romantically, a la "you've stolen my heart." Well, remember, Link now holds the power of this entity's hand, something I don't believe we'd see if this new entity was a hostile force to our heroes or Hyrule, at least not initially. Finally, just think about it. Why would Ganon or Zelda be absent from this mural when both are key to the story unfolding in Tears of the Kingdom? Of course, you could argue that Ganon is present in another corner of the mural, just not being shown yet, but why? Spoilers for why and how he got here? Maybe, but would you really spoil one of your upcoming AAA blockbuster's biggest mysteries in a mural plastered all over your marketing campaign and game before it even comes out? Okay, point taken, but in all fairness, Breath of the Wild never had a plot point this interesting to spoil, and I'd like to think Nintendo could learn from their mistakes. Before we move on from the long discussion that has been deciphering these scenes, I want to segue into the next section with one last mural detail. Direct your attention to the hair of these two figures. First, you might notice that they both have long, flowing hair, but this hair varies in length. While the floating figure has hair coming down to about their knees, the standing figure exhibits hair falling all the way down the length of their dress. And we have never seen a Zelda with hair long enough to reach her feet. Now, after all that, I know what you're thinking. Xeno, you're so good at this, you just convinced me that neither of these figures could be Zelda. And you're right. Because this is Hylia. Hylia and Zelda are in many ways interchangeable figures. Skyward Sword explains that Zelda is Hylia's avatar, and that she lives on through her bloodline leading to the creation of the royal family of Hyrule. But this mural depicts events from across Hyrule's history, including hidden parts of its creation. This theory, as most do, started as a simple set of observations pertaining to the pertinence of this character within Tears of the Kingdom, and funnily enough, their ears. Something about those ears just stood out to me. I couldn't get it off my mind. Of course, I'd seen this design somewhere before. I know many fans looked at the face portion of this figure and saw an owl, but that's not what I saw. I saw a jackal. Specifically, something resembling the Egyptian god of the dead, Anubis. And once that clicked, well, everything I've told you and am about to tell you began to fall into place. You see, I left out a detail about the Ouroboros earlier. We mentioned how odd it is that Tears of the Kingdom decided to use two serpents in its depiction of Ouroboros. But it's not actually that odd at all. See, there is another depiction of the symbol with two serpents. The first, actually, in ancient Egypt. It was first seen on a scroll in the tomb of King Tutankhamun. The funerary text told of the unison between the Egyptian creation deity Ra, the sun god, and Osiris, the Egyptian deity of death and rebirth. This depiction is not two serpents in the same circle, but one at the head and feet of the figure, signifying the unison of the deities of creation and death. This character is not a returning character, but a new deity being introduced into the Zelda series, the second side of the Ouroboros, the goddess of death. When the Golden Goddesses left Hyrule and the Triforce to Hylia, I believe there was another. Someone of equal standing left to balance the universal scales. If Hylia is the goddess of time and life, then where is the goddess of death and eternity? But don't think we're done here just yet. Osiris and Anubis both functioned as gods of death within the Egyptian pantheon. Both have parallels that can be drawn to our new friend here. But interestingly, Anubis in particular was also known as the god of mummification. Even after all we discussed, easily one of the biggest question marks left unresolved is the very first one. What is happening in this cave? Zelda and Link venture to the bottom of this mysterious pit and are met by the mummified corpse of their ancient enemy in ceremonial clothing and a goddess's spectral hand grasping at its heart. What is the purpose of this ritual? If to subdue, then what went wrong? Why has Ganon's power grown stronger than ever before? If to enhance, then why does this spectral hand now fuse to Link? Just like everything we've discussed, there are so many unknown variables in play, but what we do know can help guide us in the right direction. The Ouroboros and Magatama symbols in the trailer and the logo have now shown concrete evidence that Tears of the Kingdom will tackle themes of reincarnation. Ganondorf appears strikingly similar to his last human appearance in Twilight Princess. A hidden goddess, presumably aligned with the mysterious Zonai tribe, are the only remnants left at the scene. By the end of Zelda and Link's encounter with the corpse is free, the spectral hand has bonded to Link, Zelda is nowhere to be seen, and Hyrule Castle has risen to the sky over a malice eruption. What we showed you currently is a little darker. I'm beginning to see a pattern regarding the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and that pattern is death. Tears of the Kingdom is a title that I believe is meant to be taken both literally and figuratively. In a literal sense, the game's main collectible is likely to be these Magatama tears displayed around the Goddess of Death on the mural. Being 7 of them, I think it's possible we can expect 7 main quest objectives being the structure of this game's story. But for what purpose do we need to seek out these tears? What do they do? Tears are the counterpart to the Triforce. The Triforce is the ultimate source of power in Hyrule, granting the wish of any being lucky enough to obtain it, regardless of their intentions. Although, did you know that the Triforce, according to 2017's official Zelda Encyclopedia, has one limitation? It is said that the wish will hold true until the user of the Triforce dies. The Triforce has no power over death. Only the tears do. So then the question is, why would Link have the need for the power over death? Zelda will die. And your journey in this game is to cross heaven and hell to save and resurrect her. Tears of the Kingdom. Across heaven and hell. What exactly do I mean by that? Well, I've been a champion of Tears of the Kingdom expanding its Hyrule vertically for some time now. Since before they proved me half right. Still, with today's theory, I believe I've found some of the best evidence yet for why Tears of the Kingdom will focus on expanding its world above and below Hyrule. That being the series' history and its thematic sense. Zelda's closest portrayal of the themes of sacred and cursed worlds colliding is in the fan-favorite Skyward Sword Temple, the Ancient Cistern. Many present company included hailed this temple as one of the series' best, so it would only make sense to run with that general theme again, this time giving it a swing with Tears of the Kingdom. So if we are insinuating that Tears of the Kingdom will be tackling this theme, what is the Zelda universe equivalent to heaven? Well, the Golden Land, of course. The Sacred Realm. The Sacred Realm has only ever been seen in-game in short sequences from A Link Between Worlds and in A Link to the Past's Dark World, which is said to be the Sacred Realm manifested in a corrupted state thanks to Ganon's use of the Triforce. I believe there is more to the Sacred Realm than a mirror image of Hyrule, however, and its real appearance is as a heavenly plane of existence above Hyrule, which also bears a striking resemblance to another Zelda series locale. What if I told you that Skyloft, the Sacred Realm, and Tears of the Kingdom's new Sky Islands are all one and the same, established by the Golden Goddesses before they left to live on a higher plane. After the gods had finished their work, they left the world, but not after creating a symbol of their strength, a golden triangle known as the Triforce. That relic was entrusted to their proxy ruler of the Sacred Realm, the goddess Hylia. Skyward Sword is an origin myth for the Zelda series, yet the Golden Goddesses are barely mentioned in it, and already have dragon counterparts acting on their behalf. This is because the creators of the world, the 3 Golden Goddesses, never really had much of a stake in it. As a result, they are more separated from Hyrule and its business, instead trusting it to proxy gods and spirits, mainly Hylia and the Goddess of Death. As for Tears of the Kingdom, if the scenery, parallels, and thematic sense aren't yet enough for you to accept this might just be the Sacred Realm, remember, we've already seen Tears of the Kingdom Sky Islands littered with Torii gates. Japanese gates used to mark the boundary between the secular world and the sacred world in Shintoism. Perhaps the gates serve the very same purpose here, denoting areas Link can use to transport himself to and from the Sky Islands of the Sacred Realm. So we have our equivalent to paradise. But what about an underworld? This is where things become a bit more complicated, since outside of the original cinematic teaser and hints in the second and third trailers, We don't even know if Tears of the Kingdom will contain any underground areas. One could even argue that the lack of underground representation in the game's key art would confirm this, but I'm stubborn and I still think it's a great idea that interests me more than the sky personally, okay? While I no longer have hope that the underground of Hyrule will be as vast and expansive as something like we imagined in our Creating Breath of the Wild 2 video last year, the title reveal trailer has reinvigorated my hope for at least something to explore underground, with entry points such as the giant crater we see below Link here, or the holes undoubtedly left below Hyrule Castle's ascension. These caverns would lead us to smaller, more traditionally linear areas that show us the truly horrific extent of Ganon's corruption on Hyrule. In the depths, Link would have to encounter all new enemies and environments in his search for answers and the tears. In the process, tackling one of critics' main complaints with Breath of the Wild, the lack of variety in dungeons. Tears of the Kingdom is a story of life and death, of the Zelda series' longest-running curse, reincarnation. A journey through the pinnacle of life and the depths of death to learn the secrets of Hyrule's origin, the story of its greatest enemy, and heal a kingdom in tears for the loss of its princess. Now, wouldn't that be a game? So, that was a lot. I know it was a lot, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's been my pleasure speculating over this game with you all for over 3 years now. But the time of release is fast approaching, and I can't wait to see what Tears of the Kingdom will hold for us all. No matter how long you've been on this speculative journey with me, I want to thank you all for watching and ask, if you haven't yet already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'm so proud of so many of the videos we've been able to put out over these past few years, and there's still more to be revealed, and soon enough, a whole new version of Hyrule to explore, and I'll be here right with you to explore it. Let me know your thoughts on the theory in the comments below. How far off the deep end did I go this time? I mean, there was a whole section here about, like, the Twilight Realm that I didn't even put in the theory, so you're welcome. I'm gonna read it to you now anyway, though, because I think it's still kind of cool. So I wrote this in opposition to the whole underground idea thing, and it's just, forget the underground and take us to a whole new counterpart realm, the Twilight Realm. And all this stuff from the Twilight Connection theory and where are the Zonai is still true. There's still 2 Zonai tribes. One's in the air, one's down below. The one in the air is still there, and then the one down below is also the Twilight, apparently. And we get to go back to the Twilight Realm in this game, and it's like a second overworld type thing. Like, there's a whole another overworld they just haven't shown us yet. And I know I'm crazy, but it's cool, right? It's a cool idea, so I had to at least put it in here and let you guys know. Wouldn't that be cool? Anyway, that's going to be it for me today, guys. Keep a lookout on the channel for hopefully some more new videos soon. I'm trying to get some more consistency going again. But yeah, happy holidays to everyone. Enjoy the season. Take care, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.